I'm gonna play this clip where it's a show, kind of like a Jubilee style show, where there's one group of people on one side, one group of people on the other side. In this particular one, I can't remember the doctor that kind of does the mediation. One is a group of former Christians, and one is a group of Christians. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's hear what one of the former Christians said.
I am a former Christian, and I grew up in the church, like many of us here, and I just didn't have great experiences in the church. I felt like it was a very toxic environment for me. The friends that I did have in the church, I feel like they controlled and manipulated, like just everything when it came to our friendship, and they would just kind of blame it on Jesus. I also just believe that religion, because I'm not religious at all, I believe in God as a higher power. I look at it like politics. It divides people. You know, it doesn't bring us together. It divides us and moves us away from each other. I just never could correlate to that. I've been a former Christian for about 7 years now, and I just feel like I am God, because if you look up what I am means, or God, it means I am means God. And so I just realized that it just wasn't for me anymore.
Whoa. Okay. When I heard that, I was like, you know what? I realized I need to watch my wife's YouTube feed more often, because she has more like women focused things in it than I do. And I was looking at it through her thing. I'm like, I've never seen this before, and I was just clicking through it. And when she said that, I was like, wow, that's blasphemy.
Yeah.
I've never heard somebody call themselves I am before. That's crazy. Yeah. So besides Jesus. So what do you think about it? First, before we go, I would like to say that the Christian women watch this video. The Christian women on the panel did an amazing job. They did so well. Yeah. I just commend them so much. They handled it with grace, with love. I think some of the women on the former Christian side ended up feeling the love of God because of how they handled it. So I just want to commend them. Go watch the video if you can. What do y'all think about what the young lady said?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I watched this 2 months ago when it first came out. And I was just like, I was listening. I wasn't watching because it was around Christmas time, and I was building toys and stuff. And I was just listening, and I was like, wow, like this is really good. This is really good. The only thing I'll say, man, is that whenever someone comes out and they say they're an ex-Christian, the argument just sounds so weak. It sounds so weak to me. It's like, well, the church really hurt my feelings, and this person didn't accept my viewpoints, or this person talked down to me at some point. And it's like, okay, all right, I get it, but you're talking about relationship versus religion. Religion is always going to be flawed. It's always going to have problems. The church is always going to have problems, but you got to get past that. And so, there was a lot of new age thinking. There was a lot of, I told y'all I had a conversation with a witch for 2 hours, like 2 weeks ago. And everything she said about vibrating and chakras and, getting to that higher element of yourself, and we are God, and I am this and I'm that. All that stuff is just weak arguments for people. I didn't hear anything to the point. I know the conversation was supposed to be, at the end of this conversation, does anybody want to cross over? Right? And I knew none of the Christians were going to cross over after what they heard, because these were just weak arguments, man.
That's exactly.
Was that the same one where one woman was like a former, everybody on the outside was former Christian, but one of them was like, regardless of what y'all say, y'all not going to change
Yes.
that?
Man, I could have pulled so many clips from this. That one was wild.
She was so argumentative.
So yeah, there was another young lady. We may actually do it later, because what she said was crazy, and I think we need to deal with that. She's very like, I was oppressed, and I finally broke free, and there's so many contradictions in the Bible that y'all won't admit, y'all won't never. Yeah. She was very accusatory. I would love to break down, because
that was the funny part,
because they kept asking her, well then, like,
give us a scripture. No, we ain't gonna do all that. We ain't doing all that.
We're not here for that. No, we are.
I think, man, we gotta be careful, man, because we gotta acknowledge that some people do get hurt in church. Some people have bad experiences. Sometimes you may go to a church that's not biblically sound, where people don't love you the way Christ called us to love. Like and it may leave a bad taste in your mouth, and you may walk away from it feeling like, man, if this is what Christianity is, I don't want nothing to do with it. So I think we got to be careful. When she come out as outrageous as what she said sounds, what I try to do is try to deconstruct it and figure out, how did she get here? So when I hear her talk, what I hear is a lack of trust. I hear pain. I hear frustration. I hear betrayal. I hear a lot of things that she was expecting to get from the church she felt like she didn't get. So I can come off and chump her off and say, you ain't God. You didn't make the mountains. You didn't make the oceans. You know what I'm saying? I can chump her off. Or I can come to her and say, look, first I'm going to explain to you what church is. Church is a group of people coming together where we all have issues. We all need Jesus equally. We may be dealing with different circumstances, but we all need Jesus. Sometimes people say they represent Christ, but he might not have nothing to do with what they're doing. So don't walk away from Christ because you're dealing with flawed human beings and we're all trying to figure it out. We all know in part. Second of all, I would try to get down to the part that, you know what I'm saying, how was she hurt? How was she betrayed? And then I would try to give her a biblical reference on how that situation should be handled to show her like, hey, don't depend on me because I gave you an answer that made you feel better. I'm going to show you an answer in the word. So now instead of saying if James ain't around or Ryan ain't around or Sean ain't around, I can still go to the Bible and find answers for what I'm dealing with. And I think a lot of times people are ministering out of their emotions, out of their thoughts, out of their perspective, out of their feelings. Even when we talk about like the homosexual lifestyle and stuff, people have a hierarchy of sin. It's like we treat certain sin like they're worse than the other ones. When actually sin is sin. You know what I'm saying? Like the fornicator is no better than the homosexual. You know what I'm saying? So like it's sin. And I think you have to have a mature approach when you're dealing with people and be delicate with this stuff because you can come in and perpetuate the same thing that they already dealt with and push them further away from the church. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to acknowledge the fact that you've been hurt. That's what Christ does. We go through something like he's a father. Like if you're a father with your child, you ain't gonna say, oh man, you just out there, you fail, you be out, throw some dirt on it. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a 4-year-old daughter, she come to me and she hurt. I'm gonna look at the situation, try to figure out what's going on, why is she hurt, and I'm gonna try to find the best way to relieve her pain. So when we're dealing with somebody who's going through that spiritually, what do we know the best way to help somebody is? Through the word of God, through loving people, through showing compassion. We don't necessarily have to go outside the constructs of Christianity to do that. We can do that within that. We don't have to go outside of what the word says. But like I said, I'm going to show you answers from the word for the questions that you have. So when nobody else is around, you know that the word is a reliable source for how you can base your life off of.
You sussed it out right, James. That's exactly what they did. The young ladies on the other side, they gave her scripture. The young lady said, if you were hurt by the church, I've been hurt by the church, I apologize. And you could see the the pain like kind of drain off of her. I think that meant a lot to her that the young ladies didn't judge her for what she said. They were like, what you heard, what you were told was wrong. Let me tell you what God really thinks. And I think you could see it affect her. I may be wrong. Y'all watch it for yourself. But it felt to me like that broke something in her, that she was like a stronghold in her. So I'm praying that that works, you know, that God starts to work on her heart after that, because I think that made a difference.
I think another thing too is that Satan is the king of offense. So, and what I mean by that is like, I feel like he uses offense so people can be so exit away from the church because of that, the offense that they felt, or something didn't go their way in church, or blah, blah, blah. And I think at the same time, man, it's like, why you, and you made a good point, but in my mind, I was like, why are people so easy to give up church? Like you get offended in McDonald's, you get offended at work, you get offended at any place. Your family, you might get your family another try, but church, for some strange reason, when you get offended in church, it's over. I'm done.
It's the most intimate thing.
Yeah, it's an easy excuse.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's like I know if I go to a Chick-fil-A that's bad, I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna go to that Chick-fil-A, but I'm still going to Chick-fil-A. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm still gonna bounce back. Yeah. I've had horrible church experience. I'm still like, Jesus, you're better than this church. So I follow you. So regardless, if you what's another church you're gonna lead me to?
But again, I know what you're talking about. It took us a while though.
It did.
It took us a while to recover from that.
It did. But at the same time, my focus wasn't never the pastor. My focus was always the Lord. Yeah. And I've learned that because I had people when I was a teenager tell me to read the Bible and really learn God and really know about Jesus and really get to know Him, because if not, people gonna let you down.
So look at it holistically. Like you talked about Chick-fil-A. Like we go to a bad Chick-fil-A. We know every Chick-fil-A sell chicken sandwiches. Yeah. So I can go to another Chick-fil-A and have a chance of getting a better chicken sandwich. Yeah. So when you come into a church, it's boiled down to, what am I told to expect from the church?
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I told to expect love? Am I told to expect community? Am I told to expect accountability and compassion? If I'm told to expect that from the church, all I have for face value is the people. And if a whole body of people treated me a certain kind of way that made me want to walk away from this, for me to get my emotions and my feelings up again to try to go through that kind of hurt and risk going through that kind of hurt or pain again, that's different than, I didn't even put no pickle on my sandwich. Let me go back over here.
But what I'm saying, I'm not even talking about your food. I'm talking about the service, like you just said, the experience at that Chick-fil-A.
But you've been to other Chick-fil-A's.
Yeah.
Like, it can be better. This is the only Chick-fil-A they've ever had.
Yeah, but the question is, if somebody comes to you and say, hey, bro, that Chick-fil-A is whack, but over there, they're better.
I think that's what happened on this show.
Got you.
But I don't know if anybody else has ever done that.
But what I'm saying is sometimes I don't think people, they get so offended that they just cut it off and go, I'm not going to no Chick-fil-A's no more. Versus saying, hey, maybe that experience there was they had whack people
The
there.
only thing I would say is we're going to keep doing Chick-fil-A. If this is the only Chick-fil-A you've ever had.
Yeah.
This is Chick-fil-A to you. Why would I waste my time going to something else if this is the only experience I've ever had?
But what I'm saying to you,
somebody would have to give me another Chick-fil-A.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what she just got.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, I'm using that example, but in general, if somebody comes to you and say, hey, and I'm sure those women on the panel, somebody has come to them and say, all churches ain't like the churches that you experience.
You got to prove it to me.
But that's what I'm saying. So that's why you invite people back to another, like, hey, if you may not come this Sunday or whatever, but I'm telling you, all the churches are not the same as the churches that you experience.
It's an easy answer, though. It's an easy answer to be like, oh, I don't follow Jesus and my lifestyle is like this because I got hurt by the church when I was 7 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though it could be like real and authentic, you really did get hurt, but it's also an easy answer because you didn't want to be held accountable and you didn't want to really follow Jesus like that. You didn't really want to love others either. Like like you just said that you was with Keon recently. I don't know if you guys know this. We have a song together called We Go Low. I dropped it a while ago. Keon Boone on that song is secular rapper Keon Boone. He was not a Christian rapper. We grew up in the same area. I texted him, hey, would love to have you on a song. As secular rapper Keon Boone, would love to have you on a song. He's like, it's Christian. I don't know. I said, listen, do not take away from your creativity. Just please do not curse on the track. Please don't talk about women. That's all I asked for. I booked a studio session. We do the song or whatever. Text him a couple days later, yo, reminder, man, Jesus love you. That's it. And I stepped back. Nothing that I did. He ended up finding a church around the corner where Uncle Reese is in Jax and met Jesus at that church. And now he's Keon Boone, you guys know. But what would happen if, like, we don't have that love? Like, how many of these stories could not be told because somebody got hurt by the church? Like, it's just the easy answer to run away from, instead of just the accountability that could be there.
Exactly. Also, sometimes we're running away from character development. So it's like, and that's another reason why it's so important to be led by the Spirit and really have a relationship with God. Because if God told me and led me to this church, then that means I'm supposed to be here. So no matter what hurts come my way, God allowed it. I'm supposed to be here. I have to stick through it. Because my former church or whatever, I learned so much from that church, but it is nothing that you would think you're supposed to learn at church. I learned how to follow leadership when I don't understand. I learned how to still love leadership when they weren't nice to me and were transactional. Like, I've learned so many things, or even to just submission. I learned so many things from that church. And God, and my relationship, it grew my relationship with God. It grew my love for people. Because too, it is true. Sometimes you can go to churches and it just be like, bruh, it's only by 2-3 real Christians here. Everybody else carnal. But this is a hospital. So praise God for the real Christians here, because they're the ones that just give you a hug. Man, my church mom used to just give me cookies. And she don't know how much that used to bless my heart. That's why Delta got me, because the cookies. But it's like, y'all are running from character development because people are people, which we all know what that means, or whatever, and they are going to work the fruits of the Spirit out of you. They're going to work the patience out of you, the long suffering out of you, the love out of you, and that's going to turn you exactly into who God has called you to be. So stop running from the character development, bruh. Forgive those people. Love those people past what they doing to hurt you. Submit it and give it up to God. It's not easy, but it's for your good.
We have somebody ask, but should we stay in spiritually abusive churches, though?
that's what I was gonna say. I think what y'all said was excellent. Like, it was great. But at this point of your life, it's like it's kind of hard to disconnect from being a mature believer. Like, y'all mature believers. So I'm just going back to the mindset of the person who I go to church for the very first time. I hear what it's about. I really don't know for real, and I run into some people who are just tripping. You know what I'm saying? It's like us knowing now on hindsight, we can look and say, "Oh man, that was character development. Oh man, I was planting the seed, different things." Like, because it had to be the Lord to even lead you to get somebody who wasn't even a Christian rapper to be on a Christian rap song. That had to be that, but you had to be in tune with God. That's a certain level of spiritual maturity. You had to know that was okay to do, because you can't do that with everybody. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just try to go back to that person who doesn't know anything about anything. They go into church. I've seen this. I done went into a church before. It was a trap right across the street. We was in East Point, matter of fact, right across the street. And the guy, me and Noah pull up. The dude storming out the church. He got a suit on that's too big and all this kind of stuff. And we walk up on him like, "Man, what's going on?" Because we see somebody storming out the church. We try to see if it was, you know what I'm saying, before we walk in. And he was like, "Man, I'm trying to get my life right, man. As soon as I come into church, they tell me, you got to choose between the world and the church." This is the first time he ever stepped foot in that mug. You know what I'm saying? So we talked to him. We were like, "Bro, first of all, church ain't about the suit and the clothes. That suit too big for you. You ain't got to do that. Just take that suit off. You know what I'm saying? Put your clothes on." And I said, "Bro, like, nobody should have an expectation for you to arrive and figure everything." I said, "We've been walking with the Lord for a minute. We still learning. We're going to be learning till the day we die." Because to say you're not learning, that means you figured out everything about God, and that's impossible. So we walk into the church with him, and we talked to the leadership. We were like, "Hey, I know this is that he might be coming from a certain place, but you can't do that. You can't let somebody come in day one and then you just hit him with that across the mouth." Because that's what he think church is. He stormed out. Is that the result that you wanted? So he ended up coming back in. He listened to the service. They apologized to him. When they apologized to him, after the service was over, he said, "I want to give my life to the Lord." Because he saw how we fixed the situation. We ain't just give up on him. We ain't just abandon. And that's what he dealt with, abandonment, rejection. His dad wasn't in his life. So when he see people didn't give up on him and come back and say, "Hey," so you got to look at it sometimes like it's really not black and white. It's varying situations. It's some folks who running from accountability and development. It's some folks who just don't know what to expect, get a bad experience. Like, I'm scared to do that again. Everybody don't got tough skin. Some folks like one bad experience. Some folks like that with restaurants. I can say, "Man, you been to Papa Dough before?" "Man, I went there, man. That joint was good. I don't like Papa Dough." Do you not like Papa Dough? Do you just don't like the one over there in Jimmy Carter? Try the one over here in Marietta. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just depends.
So yeah, I think there's a fine line between tough situations, family dynamics in the church where there's some frustration and things like that, and abusive. We've been in both. Okay, there is a moment when your church needs to end. I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a church come to an end, and that was God ending that church. Okay. So we did all the praying and the working it out and all that kind of stuff, but there was a moment where it was like, "This is wrong. This place is bad. Flee." Because it's going down. It's going down. You want to be there when it go down? You going to stay on the Titanic? Or you going to jump off? We had to jump off. I guarantee you we had to jump off. I got witnesses in here. Okay. All right.